5 minutes left.
Yes, definitely. I want to touch on the part of why VC pledge partners or VC investors,
let's do
angel
that.
investors, any type of investors would want to work with the Impact Innovation Foundation.
Okay, so investors who want to work with Impact Innovation Foundation, and that could be accredited investors, that could be angel investors, people first-time investors, any of the spectrum, correct?
Correct.
Are you looking for specific types?
No, we're not looking for specific types.
Okay, any of those are good. Go ahead.
Yes. So last year alone in 2022, $590 billion was invested into tech startups alone. And then out of the data from, I believe it's called Exploding Topics, only 63% of tech, not only, but 63% of tech startups fail within the first 5 years. So out of that 590 billion that was invested last year, they're going to lose about 371.7 billion over the next 5 years and not get any of their returns. If 1% of that was to come to IIF for human impact innovation that we're doing, that'd be 5.9 billion. If you broke that down to 1/10 of 1%, let's say of that 590 million came to IIF for the work we're doing. And so that's an average of about VCs see about 1,000 pitch decks per year. And so if we have VC pledge partners, we just call them VC pledge partners, but any investment pledge partners that come in and say, I want to invest a minimum or pledge a minimum of $15 million over the course of the next 3 years at the Impact Innovation Foundation Human Capital Initiative. So like I said, we're transitioning the traditional way of giving. Most places would say, give that full 15 million to IIF, you get a tax deductible donation. We're not doing that. We're saying pledge $15 million over the course of 3 years. 20% of that comes to IIF as a tax deductible donation. But that tax deductible donation is now you investing into the startups, or the education of the startup, should I say. So you're kickstarting the acceleration of innovation, because that 20% allows us to provide our education program, allows us to provide the business fellowship program, and allows us to work with these startups with that pre-traction funding to start and launch and test out. And so that 20% of their donation is furthering their investments. They're putting into being able to have a return on investments. So we're the first nonprofit that is returning a return on a donation. The other remaining 80% never comes to IIF. We don't touch it. We don't see a penny of it. The other 80% of their pledge is what they allocate over the next 3 years to directly invest into social impact startups that have finished our program, that have tested out their model, and that have gone through. We put research around it. We put the news crew, because we have a Gatherverse news crew as well. So we put our news crew around it, showing the story. So now when the startups go through the fellowship, why we say it's a pledge partner is because now they're a partner. They can say, okay, who's the cohorts that are going through this fellowship? Now they can do their bespoke mentorship and say, we're going to craft. I see 3 startups that I like. Now we can craft these startups as they're going through the fellowship, and we can mentor them while they're going through your program, so we can craft our investment. So once they build traction and test, and they've gone through and tested and tried everything to true, and say, okay, these are the risks we had. This is how we overcame them. Here's our model. Here's how we built traction. We have revenue coming in, and now they can go and they're prepared for VCs to invest into them. So that's awesome. How we're transcending and mixing philanthropy with investments.
That's great. That's awesome. I'm excited to see that process visually explained. That would be my invitation and challenge to you to add to it. It reminds me a little bit in a very different way, but we had a company in Canada that I own a very small percentage of. And we were helping the entrepreneur gain grant funding through grants that were often overlooked, and the money wouldn't have even been used. But our company had built a secondary nonprofit in order to apply for the grant funding legally and on behalf of the client, and allow them to get $36,000 in government grant funding for a $9,000 commitment that they also got back.
Wow.
From it as well. So they ended up with quite the financial investment in their marketing efforts. And you've now created a system as well that that it's just being smart with moving the money and how the money is being moved in order to help entrepreneurs bring their visions to life.
Most definitely. I don't know if you're able to show, but that link I just shared is actually our VC Pledge Partner deck that we send out to those, and that visually describes that pathway of investing into the innovation, then the fellowship, then building their traction, and then when they're ready for investments.
Cool. Let me take a little extra minute on that. I think it's well worth the time. So if anybody wants access to this afterwards, I'm sure you can get in touch with Diane and gain that. You should see this on your screen. So you mind if I flip through this? Is that okay?
Oh, go right ahead. So that roadmap right there showed that's very much pathway. And then that next page shows how we're transitioning traditional giving.
Nice. And anybody who's watching right now, I would challenge you to just pause the screen, pause the video and take a look through this. I don't want to waste anybody's live airtime, but you'll be able to see this right after we finish the recording and you'll be able to flip right through it. So way to be well prepared, Diane. This was awesome. How do you recommend people reach out to you and get in touch?
At info@impactinnovationfoundation.org, or they can just go to the website impactinnovation.org and fill out the contact form.
Awesome. How about social media? Is there anywhere we should catch up with you on social media?
Yes, I am on LinkedIn under my own name, Diane N. Tucker. I am on Instagram. You can look up Divine CEO. I told you I use Divine in a lot. And those are my two main social platforms that I use.